The first Xenoblade Chronicles had so little faith on part of Nintendo that the game almost didn't come out in America. Fans campaigned for it hard through the early 2010s, and Nintendo still said, "Get wrecked, losers." And then, of all companies, the then financially comfortable GameStop came in and offered a big down payment on localization and stocking costs, and Nintendo of America agreed. It went on to become a big seller. Shulk was in Smash, we got Xenoblade Chronicles X and Xenoblade Chronicles 2, some DLCs, some remakes, and most recently, Xenoblade Chronicles 3 getting the final announcement in the February Direct. Now given this, you can imagine the size of the fan base that has come along with Xenoblade Chronicles, which is funny because what the hell is Xenoblade Chronicles? Look at the original launch on the Wii. Now look at Xenoblade Chronicles X. Now look at 2. Now back at 1. Now look at the 3DS. Now look at Mother 3. No, for real, please do. These games vary so wildly in terms of narrative, tone, concept, gameplay. They're all JRPGs set in a large world, usually amongst some enhancing or threatening race, yes. But how did we go from this to this to this? And here's the part where I enlighten you. Welcome to the video. Xenoblade Chronicles 1 was developed after the devilishly underrated Xenosaga series by Takahashi and the gang at Monolith Soft. He envisioned little people living on big people or something like that. The rest is history. If you've played any of Takahashi's Xeno games before, you know his exploration of themes like science fiction and religion are nothing new. But Xenoblade Chronicles 1 was interesting to me for how much it didn't feel like your typical JRPG. The character models were less printed, the world wasn't confining to a path, the battle system, wasn't turn-based, and it was on the fucking Wii. It took bold steps that were unheard of for Nintendo, namely gruesome early game death as well as intimacy. These characters were more mature, more aware, more level-headed for the genre. I guess what I mean to say is that Xenoblade Chronicles felt like an RPG that had subtler tones of the J. The plot is more akin to what you would see in other games of the sort, but everything else was a refreshing change of pace, and I recall many people who weren't interested in JRPGs taking the game up and liking it. Then Xenoblade Chronicles 2. The very first trailer is jaw-droppingly different. Hold on. First, let me be clear about something. I am not by any means trashing on Xenoblade Chronicles 2, but anyone with eyes can acknowledge that there is a very clear difference here. Again, different, not downgraded, okay? The very first trailer here shows off the new character models, and they are now really anime, but that's just the first trailer. What does the second trailer show? Oh, well. What does the third trailer show? What does the game show? Is there anything they don't show? Ludicolo? Aside from what Wikipedia describes as fat anime memories, there's a lot of other changes in 2, making it feel so estranged from 1. The gameplay incorporates elements of gacha with blade pulling, and true to gacha, you obtain a nice shiny waifu. The Merc missions also feel like something right out of a mobile game. Even the exploration is more guided than in 1, with the implementation of field skills that limit where you can go until you have a blade or number of blades powerful enough to pass. I know a couple of seconds ago I said I didn't want to bash on the game, and I'm still trying to avoid that, but with these gameplay mechanics in motion, Xenoblade 2 felt significantly more like it was trying to be something else. This whole concept of humans partnering up with magical entities called blades was simple enough, but weird at the same time, and this is the fucking Xeno series. There's also all the stuff inspired by anime and JRPGs, like traditional expressions and a hot spring scene and characters who are obsessed with sex and sex. So I'm not really looking to answer the question of how it's different more than I am why. Why did the focus shift? Why does it feel so foreign? Duh, because it's called Xenoblade. Before I tell you the answer, aren't we forgetting somebody? Oh yeah, Xenoblade Chronicles X, how could anybody forget that? If you were to remove the name, ecosystem, and combat from this game, it would feel nothing like a Xenoblade title, so why is it one? The answer is the buck-fucking-wild executive director and/or producer, Mr. Takahashi. When Takahashi was getting into X, it was set for the Wii U, which was not only Nintendo's first HD console, it also had an entirely separate screen. This was the first HD game the team was developing, and it was going to be an adjustment, so Mr. Takahashi made it clear that they were going to aim more for solid gameplay and performance before they were a captivating plot, engaging characters, and I guess also probably music, so that the future of the series could build off the framework, and the results reflect a lot of that. The story in Xenoblade Chronicles X is ass. But the game is incredibly detailed and very complex. To summarize, the game was different because the team needed it to be. And in a way, Xenoblade Chronicles 2 followed suit. In the same phase of development, half the team was off aiding with Breath of the Wild. The remaining employees were left to deal with building the game, and this included only 3 programmers. So to help out with the effort, they hired freelancers to design the characters. You already know about the Kingdom Hearts guy, the Fire Emblem people, and this guy who used to draw a lot of other things? Well, that explains this aspect of the game. Nah, I'm kidding though. Lots of artists in Japan have dabbled on that side. The truth is, Xenoblade Chronicles 2 was different because Takahashi wanted it to be. He had grown tired of universes at war, heroes and villains with convoluted motives, war-torn lands, and so he sought to create something more lighthearted and basic, the story of Rex being driven, pun intended, by a girl, which is the type of scene he would have enjoyed in his younger years. Personally, I find this hilarious. In me telling you that Xenoblade Chronicles 2 felt like it was trying to be something else, it was in fact trying not to be a Xeno game, and this was forecasted for quite some time. In a 2015 interview, Takahashi said, "I tend to get bored with things pretty easily, so I'd like to keep creating things with different approaches every time. Along those lines, I definitely like my next project to look and feel pretty different from this one." The Xeno name, by the way, really just exists to make it clear that these are Tetsuya Takahashi productions. And with that, I believe our riddle is solved. Any game can be a Xeno game if it tries hard enough.
What kind of fool do you take me for? He's
Xenoblade.
He's
Xenoblade.
yours.
Xenoblade.
I'm.
Xenoblade.
Are there any other
Xenoblade.
I should know about? Meow.
What I want to end on, though, is a declaration of talent on part of Monolith Soft. To create such a different experience each time, but still a very quality one. I thought that these guys had the biggest balls to even approach the thought of connecting Xenoblade 2's canon to 1. But now I think, oh, you've got Xenoblade 3? Well, go ahead and show us how it's done, Mr. Takahashi, because I, for one, can't wait.